Over the course of NBA history, over the course of all these different eras that we have had in the league, there's always been one definite, absolute, no question about it, face of the league. Sometimes it would be just the best player that was playing, the best player in the world. Other times it was just the player that was doing the best during one particular season. And other times it was just the most popular player, maybe someone that was doing the most jaw-dropping plays that you've ever seen and was getting talked about like crazy after the game was over, online, with your friends, family, all that kind of stuff. And sometimes it's actually a combination of all of those things. And shout out to my brother because he's the one that actually asked me this exact question: who is the face of the league right now? And it took me a while to think of an answer for. Before we get into all of it, what's good, guys? It's Demi M7. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. You're going to have a great day. I know it. Now, for me personally, the face of the league has always been a combination of two things primarily: dominance on the court and off-court popularity. When I say off-court popularity, I'm basically talking about a player that gets talked about like crazy online. Everyone just can't stop talking about that one dude. Their highlights are getting played every 10 seconds. People are just going nuts, like going ballistic over some crazy thing they did. Like, let me give you an example, and this is obviously going to hit very home for me. The face of the league in around 2011, 2012 was unquestionably Derrick Rose. D Rose was everybody's favorite player. Not only was he just busting everyone's butt on the court, but everybody loved him and was talking about him all the time. I kid you not, he was one of the most beloved NBA superstars I think we have ever seen in the league. Now, sure, he did win MVP, but most argued that he wasn't exactly the best player in the world. That was still LeBron James at the time when he was in Miami in his prime. But even though LeBron was a better player, Rose was definitely the face of the league. Then we fast forward to the 2015, 2016, 2017, which I think it's pretty clear and safe to say that it was Steph Curry. Steph took the NBA and the world by storm with his three-point shooting, his unbelievable shots that he would make, and also his handles, his passing ability, basically everything. He was so mesmerizing and so much fun to watch. He was so exciting that everybody loved him. Again, he wasn't the best player in the world. Most people would have argued maybe LeBron James still, Kevin Durant maybe. But as far as the face of the league, it was no competition. It was Steph Curry. Then, of course, after Steph, maybe it was James Harden for a little bit. Maybe it was Russell Westbrook. LeBron James maybe took the crown back a little bit. Maybe even Giannis. But my point is, and this is especially true over the last maybe 4 or 5 years now, maybe since like 2019, 2020, that there really hasn't been a clear face. Now, sure, we had some ideas or maybe some theories as to who it could have been. Maybe Luka Doncic or Ja Morant, Zion Williamson. Guys who not only showed so much potential at such an early age, but also was just doing incredible things on the court that really we'd never seen before. I want to take a second and just go over those players individually for just a minute. First with Ja Morant. Look, the guy has obviously done some unreal stuff on the court with his athleticism, his vertical, his dunks, his layups. The dude is just unbelievably gifted athletically for a point guard especially. But injuries and a lot of off-court drama has really pulled Ja Morant back a little bit. And frankly speaking, for me at least, doesn't really put him in contention for the face of the league right now. Then we look at Zion Williamson, who I think it's just, let's just call it like it is. Injuries really held this guy back for the majority of his career. He hasn't really dealt with anything off the court too drastic that really kind of damaged his overall image, save for some like personal stuff with his love life. Hell, his biggest talking point is just the fact that he's been a little bit more overweight than he should be for the majority of his career, which is why he's probably gotten hurt so much. Now, look, it's not to say that Zion Williamson isn't popular anymore. He absolutely is. It's just not quite as high as it was when he first got into the league. So that leaves Zion out too. And Luka is Luka. Luka has been fantastic for a while now. But I just don't think he's kind of taken the NBA by storm quite as much as like everyone was kind of hoping he would. Which, let me make myself very clear, the guy is an amazing, amazing player. He's historic. Everyone made a massive deal about it, myself included, that he got traded from the Mavericks to the Lakers. That was just unreal. But I'm just saying, as the face of the league, I don't think it's Luka. And as crazy as it might sound, I don't even think it's Nikola Jokic right now either, even though he's having one of the most historic peaks of all time. 3-time league MVP, trying to close in on a 4th MVP this year. He's been so dominant for the last 4 or 5 years. Naturally, you would think he was the face, but I don't really think it's him either because he doesn't have as much off-court appeal as some of those other players I mentioned. I don't think people get as excited or wowed or is just straight up going bonkers over Jokic as some of those other players that I mentioned before. As far as somebody like Victor Wembanyama, it's way too soon for him to be the face of the league, even though it stands to reason he could very well end up being it sometime in his career. It's his second year in the league right now. I can't say he's the face. I think for me personally, if I had to pick one guy who is the face of the league right now, someone that is super good on the court, but also has a lot of people loving him off the court as well, it would have to be someone like Anthony Edwards. After his playoff run last year, Ant-Man has just been all over the place. People were comparing him to freaking Michael Jordan at one point. But it's his attitude, it's his energy, it's his charisma when he's on the court and off it. The dude's just a really funny guy that I think a lot of people just resonate with him and appreciate him. But in the same breath with him, he hasn't really done a whole lot in terms of accomplishments in the NBA right now. And, I mean, the Timberwolves are not looking good, period. The guy's getting double-teamed on almost every single possession. He hasn't had a great season. So even after everything I just said about Ant-Man and all those other players, my honest answer as far as who I think is the face of the league right now is nobody. I actually don't think we have a face of the NBA right now. I don't really think there's one player that everyone would just unanimously vote as the clear face of the league. It's not that simple right now. Like I mentioned, in years past, it was guys like Derrick Rose, LeBron James, Kobe, Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, even Shaquille O'Neal, I would argue at one point. Players with absolute dominance on the court, but a whole lot of appeal off the court as well, whether it was just by stuff that they would say in interviews or how they would dress, things that they would say, or even just their highlights and how many people would just share them and watch them constantly. The truth is, I just don't think we have that guy right now. But down the road, that could absolutely change. It could be Luka or Anthony, or it could be Victor Wembanyama. But in my personal opinion, there really isn't a face of the league right now. Let me know in the comments who you think is the face, if there is one right now. And until next time, peace.